So today's review is going to be of the Water 3.0 360 ARGB Sync by Thermaltake. Now this supports an RGB of 16.8 million colours, which we're going to be testing that out in the actual video, as well as testing out some real world results of gaming and probably rendering a couple of videos or something like that in 1080p and 4K, just so we can get some heat, and then obviously some synthetic benchmarks to produce some more heat at its full maximum capacity of the 9900K, and see how well this radiator can dissipate heat from the 9900K using 3 fans, because obviously these are, it's not just RGB, this is ARGB. So ARGB is all good because you can have all synced with your motherboard, which we're going to be doing. Let's talk about that real quick. Alright, F cable here. This one's going to be for GIGABYTE. So if you've got a GIGABYTE motherboard and you want to connect it up, this is the VDG cable, and you can connect this up. And then this will obviously give you addressable RGBs, and you can sync this to your motherboard. So your motherboard, you can go into your software and sort out all the RGBs or whatever you want to do, flashing and rainbow and all that sort of stuff, and you can do it all through this cable, through GIGABYTE, through your software on the motherboard that I'm using, which is an MSI motherboard, and that's how you can do it. On the other side, the flip side of things, we've got an MSI and AsRock and an ASUS cable, because this is a 5-volt cable as well, but all of them kind of use the same pin, so that's pretty cool. And this is the pin cable that you'll be looking for. So this is a D 5-volt cable. It's got like 3 holes and one missing, where like a normal 12-volt would have 4 pins. This has got 3. And then you've got these screws as well. I think these are for the these are for the 1150 and 1151 socket 775 sockets. Those are those screws there to connect that up. These will be for the 2066 or 2011 or 2011 version 3 for that socket. Then you got the little screws, retention screws that go down. This, I don't know what this is. Is this an extra screw? I like the color of it. It's got like a little brassy, pinky, rosy sort of color. And then we've got this as well. I don't know what this is, but we're gonna take a look at this and then obviously put it all together. And if you haven't got addressable RGBs, or you haven't got a motherboard, I should say, that supports a 5-volt connector, then we've got eSATA power connector, which is included in the box, and it's got mode, color and speed, so you can speed up how fast the RGB lights are moving around depending on what you're using. Then you've got the different colors that you can have, like straight colors, and then obviously different modes that is provided. And obviously this is not synced with any software. You just plug it in through eSATA power and then connect these up to the fans, and then you're away. So to connect the fans, that's how you will be able to connect them, which is slightly different from Thermaltake's other RGB fans, and I've done quite a lot of them. This is also for the fans as well. This goes into a PW header on the motherboard, so that's 4-pin, and then it's got 3 to connect through the cables, and they just split off. That's really quite cool. Then we've got all of these long screws as well, so this is all to connect the fans in. And then you've got these ones here, the little ones that can go on top of the case. Say if you're positioning in this in the case, then you would use these screws. And then if you're not positioning in this case, then you would use these screws. This will go through into the radiator. But that depends on however you're orientating your system and stuff. This is the bracket that goes over the top. I think this is an AMD version, actually, saying that. This must be the AMD version. And then we've got the Intel version, which we're going to be using. and then obviously the bracket that just goes over the pump and the water cooler. This is the bracket, retention bracket for the back, and then these fit through the holes, and then you put the adhesives which are included in the packets as well. And then this gives it a little bit more of a depth, and then you can put it so it gives it more of a fixture to the motherboard and water pump. And then on the back it obviously tells you what like numbers you need to put it on for different types of motherboard. Normally I'll just put it through the hole and then just move it and wiggle it to it's actually in position. So in this case is around 80, I think it's like £95, something like that, 95 to £100. But let's get on and put the AIO together and see how it gets on. But also before you like get ready to sit down and chill and watch this, I've also got a link in the description down below where you can check this case out that I'm building this in. Also, as this is a 360, as like all water cooling units and Thermaltake, you get like the cable that connects up as well, and then you've also got a DC connector, and you connect this to the motherboard to obviously give it power for the pump, and then this should light up for the RGB, and also it's got thermal compound on the actual copper plate as well. So let's get going, let's build it. So what we're looking at here right now is that the computer's been on for like 20 minutes, and we're going to be checking with a standalone little benchmark just to get us like where a base point is. And as you can see over there, we've got 30 and 30, or 38 and 34, which is the motherboard and Samsung drive, and the CPU is even cooler with the Thermaltake 360 rad. So it's showing that it's like really quite cool. We've got a little bit of a graph right there with obviously the graphics card with the spikes and stuff. But our main point is to look at the CPU, and we're going to stress test the GPU as well, because we want to get as much heat into the Thermaltake case and seeing how well it dissipates the heat from the radiator. So we're going to be running this for like half hour and at stock. So this is 9900K, and then we're going to overclock it and then see how it runs, and then obviously render like using Premiere Pro. So no synthetic benchmarks, just literally everything real world results. So synthetic benchmarks against real world results. So let's go. Let's see what it starts off with. So we click start, elapsed time right there, and this is of the 13th of March 2019 at 10:14. So when we've done this, it should be half hour. Sometimes I do go overboard a little bit longer to see how well it stresses. Using the Thermaltake 3.0, which is a 360 rad in front of the Thermaltake case, which is the View 23, I believe, tempered glass ARGB. So it's like taking in cool air from the front and kind of exhausting it inside the case. So we're seeing how well it does, and this CPU is not overclocked yet, but those are the sort of readings that you're going to get at the moment. So we'll leave this for half hour and see how we get on and come back, and hopefully it won't be too high. Houston, we have a problem. Now, I don't know whether it's an AIO issue where the pump's not working properly, or the fan is the three fans that are on the front of the case is restricting airflow or even dissipating heat. Because even from the case, this is where the radiator is on, and then basically you've got three fans on the bottom. So, and then you've got an exhaust up here. So it should be going and then straight out, especially with the fans that I've got on the top. So I do have 5 fans altogether in this case. So I'm gonna have to do a little experiment, because we've got CPU throttling max at 15%, and this has been going for 56 minutes. Now before, I checked it just before half hour, and it was already heat throttling. So I thought I'd leave it for a little bit longer to see if the water needs to be cycled through to the actual tubing. And it's not the case. As you can see clearly that the motherboard and the Samsung SSD 970 Pro 1TB is right here with going up to degrees of 62 and 57. And this is because the GPU is at 100% and everything is hot inside the case, which is making this is hot as well. So what we need to do is basically keep down the temperature of this. So we're going to have to find out what is going on with the AIO. So what I'm going to do is take off the front panel of the case and see if that makes a difference. I'm going to do that right now. So at the moment it's 57 minutes, and let's see if it will cool down. And if that's not the case, then we're going to have to check to see if the pump's working. But I'm just going to take this off because it's just easier at the moment, because I've got cable management going on in that case. And it's not the easiest case to work with. Right, as you can see, we have no acrylic on the front here. It did run a little bit warm. And obviously it only had a filter onto the right hand side, and it wasn't enough. It was really restricting the AIO. Now we've left it running for nearly 2 hours now, so 1 hour 50 minutes. And if you look onto the screen, you can see clearly where it was really CPU throttling, and it's dropped dramatically all the way down, even dropping down as 54 degrees or 56, 55. So at the top, the highest peak was 75 degrees on certain cores. Now with this base test, is literally pushing the CPU to the maximum like heat, and also we've got the GPU graphics card, and everything is like basically stressed, and it's producing a lot of heat. Even NVMEs that are in there as well is going to be reducing heat. But also CPU throttling max 15%, it's all gone. So there's no throttling at all. So that means the CPU can actually run at its highest performance now, because obviously it's not heat throttling. When anything heat throttles in a computer term, it just basically drops down the performance. So it runs slower and runs a lot hotter. So as you can see, 1 hour 55 minutes. So I'm going to stop it, and with a fan test, it is blowing quite, it's not like terribly loud and annoying, but you can definitely hear it right now. So let me stop it. Let's hear how quiet it gets and see how cool it gets idling. So look up here. So the CPU idling right now, or normal day-to-day work, is below the NVMe and the motherboard at 36 and 37, 35 degrees, cooling down that quickly. And the fans are starting to ramp down as well. But we'll just, that's like 3 GB, so we'll use that quickly, and we'll stick it in there. We'll put it here, so it's 3 GB clip. And what we'll do is we'll chuck a lot on the top, change lot. So we've got a lot on there, Is it wobbly? Yeah, let's put warp stabilization on. At the moment, 20, 19, 20%. CPU is running at, well, the highest I see at 49 and lowest at 40. But when I render and export, it's gonna be a different story. So at the moment, there's no CPU overheating or throttling, so that's cool. Let me just, actually I'll do a full render, why not? So here we go, we're going. And the heat is, well, so we're at 95% and the front cover's off the case and it's at 56 degrees at the moment. So this is real world results, like literally just rendering, and you can see clearly that CPU usage. Right, so that's done. Now let's do an export. So this is with a LUT, warp stabilization and the video itself. And I'm gonna export into H.264. And then we're gonna do this for YouTube at 1080 full HD. Use maximum render. So it's at 754 estimated file size. So let's render that. Export that. Right, CPU is only using between 80 and 75%. The fans sound like they're ramping up a little bit, but still, it's only around 60 degrees around here. So the highest that I'm seeing this at the moment is like 60 degrees, 66, and then it went down again. So now we're down to 1 to 2% idle. So that's just exported the video, so that's no problem whatsoever. Let's do a synthetic benchmark real quick. All right, so run CPU. So at 100%, fans are ramping up. But it's still just in the 60s at the moment, low 60s. And I'm guessing it's because it's got the front off right now. Okay, that's not a very good score, but that will do. Right, so even with a game, it's running kind of like into the lobby. So that's 7%, and we're only seeing between 50 and 49 degrees. But this is what you can expect. So we've got a little spike there, nothing major. So yeah, this is not even really doing anything to the computer whatsoever. Heat wise, nothing. So let's escape out of this. If you're interested in getting the Thermaltake 3.0 360 water, and then I would definitely suggest that you get it because it is good. It's not very loud. You get 360 RGB addressable RGBs in that way. It works with GIGABYTE, works with ASUS, works with MSI, and works with AsRock. So you're pretty much sorted. I think I said MSI as well. So you can connect the cable through GIGABYTE, which is a bigger one than what it is at MSI, AsRock, and ASUS. And also, if you don't have any, like a motherboard that's RGB, with the RGB headers, like the 5 volt, because that's what it works with. It doesn't work with 12 volt. And if it does work, it doesn't work with 12 volt either. So if you've got a 12 volt motherboard with RGB, you're gonna have a problem because it ain't gonna work. But then there is a cable with a remote control where you can actually change all the colors and stuff like that. But if you have got the 5 volt version, then you can literally just use the software and then change it up. But other than that, the RGBs is not that important compared to the cooling. Now with this case, I did do a review on it. I'm going to leave a link in the description down below because I can't recommend it if you're going to go with a 360 in the front. There's a problem. It's literally choking the actual AIO in the front. So if I was going to put a 120, 240, 360 in the front, it's going to choke it. But at the top, you can put a 240 and a 240 on the side to exhaust heat, and that's pretty decent. That's the only way I can recommend it. But because I'd done that case review, I thought I'm going to do a build and put the new AIO in for Thermaltake, and it'll make sense. But yeah, I'm definitely not agreeing with it on the front. It needs some mesh on the front and a lot of space to be able to breathe because it's not doing any justice. It was like hitting 100 degrees and throttling. That's not cool. But anyway, this is all the top gear. It keeps it nice and cool, runs really well. I don't feel any spiking when I'm doing it because when you've got heat spikes, it kind of just, you feel it in like the game and it feels like there's a millisecond unbalanced or something like that, but there's nothing. It's really clean and perfect. So if you're looking for a 360 with ARGB, adjustable RGB, and you want it to be cool and not too loud, then this is the way forward. And it will be able to do overclock CPUs as well, because it just needs a decent case to obviously put in, but it's a 360. But anyway, subscribe, share, like, follow me on the social media platforms, follow me on everywhere that you can think of. Share the videos like crazy, it helps me out a lot. And also, if you're interested in any merch, check it out in the link in the description down below. Roger and out, thanks for watching. Also, hit the notification bell. See ya.